Hello, little boy. Oh, you're on him already. Wow, that's bigger. He's come a courting. Very thick here, so we might just get a glimpse of these giant tusks, or just this giant elephant that's going to come in. But we're going to stop here. Oh, there's two. Look at this bull. He's also big. Here's one of the big cows. Now this is this. Let's get things into perspective here. This is one of the large cows. She's fairly big. If we look at how big she is. Hello, madam. Very nice to meet you this afternoon. One of the calves next to her. She's big. Now she's a fairly big Ellie. These two bulls that are here, and not even this bull that's coming up to the car right now. He's only about the size of her, the big bull behind us. But here, look at the size of this monster coming out of the bush now. He's just moving past in the background, so he's quite far back, so he doesn't appear that much bigger than her, but he would probably tower maybe 3 or 4 feet above her. Nothing compared to this magnificent boy that's going to be making his appearance any minute now. I don't want to really move. I'm hoping he's going to just come in front of us and say hello and be kind and considerate, because I am. He's lovely. You just look at those big. He's lovely. Patience with a big boy like this. Hello, Mr. Ellie. Hello, big man. This is Big Boss Man. Yeah. Hello, Big Boss Man. You ain't big, you're just tall, that's all.
It must be pretty close to a tusker.
He's one of the tuskers. He is, I don't know, you know what?
That's what you did.
We are luckier to see him than we are to see wild dogs. That's my opinion about anything. While I've been talking, I missed some stuff about those dogs. Susan, how old is he? He's 40s at least. In his 40s, resting his trunk on his tusk. I'm going to go forward. watch this with his tusk. With his tusk, we can't really see it. It's behind that little acacia, but he's pushing with his tusk on this little silver cluster leaf. Not quite breaking it. Okay, well, let's just break a branch. It's not going to feed on it or anything. Feeding on the grasses underneath it. I don't know whether that's to intimidate me or whether it's to show strength to the other bulls that are here. There's probably a cow that's in estrus, and that's why there are a couple of bulls here. And none of the other bulls are going to have any chance with this monster because, gosh, he's big. He's big. Oh gosh, that's so amazing. I'm not sure who he is. I'm sure I've got photos of him before. I probably have. Got a couple of photos now. I wasn't really concentrating on getting photos. I was just so excited, and of course the monkey wanted to see, so he had to sit on the dash and get his adventure photo taken. I'm in heaven. Look, I'm in heaven. Look at this. Like, Hello, boys. Just be nice to the girls. That's all I can say, or to each other. I think he's not really in must, but maybe the end stage of must that we're smelling. But we can definitely smell must elephant. Look at this. There's a bit of interaction where he's coming out of the bush and this younger bull is actually turning around and showing submission. And this younger bull's got no chance of doing anything in this herd. He can only... There's that lovely smell of elephant musk again. At least 4 big bulls here. Only 2 really big bulls of any note. 2 bulls that are... Little boy didn't like that breaking the branch. I'm sorry. One of them is in full must. It might be this old man. In fact, I think I'm seeing a 5th bull now. Yeah, there's even a 5th bull. Yeah, he is in must. He's not dribbling much. His inner thigh, the inside of his legs are wet, so he is dribbling a little bit. He's leaking from his temporal gland. I would imagine that maybe he's only just coming into must, maybe, because it doesn't look like it's been that way for a long time, as it would look if he's been in must for some time. But definitely that it's starting. Very hello, young man. He's half the age. This little dude, half the age, got a good 3 feet shorter than that big bull. Michigan. Bill's asking if this Ellie is perhaps as big as that bull when I was standing next to the marula tree that time when we saw him eating the mushroom and that scenario. I think this bull's bigger. I think he'd probably stand a little bit taller at the shoulder. In fact, we can probably, since the herd is moving, we can find a spot where there he is, he's letting us. Very strong scent of Ellie. I think there are actually more bulls here than I thought at first. This little family group seems to be followed by the 2 behind, at least 6 bulls. Mastulele. Some people are saying this is Mastulele, the bull. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm going to only have to look him up. He's not a collared bull. Not many big tuskers who are not collared have names, unless the guides have named them. But Mastulele, he is, I would consider him what we would call an emerging tusker here in Kruger. He's certainly got the genes for big tusks. He's still healthy. I can see the way he carries his head. Look at that. He's just wrapping an entire tree around his trunk, and he's probably going to rip it out of the ground or something. It's just showing off to these younger boys that are around him. The thing is that these younger boys are probably his Askaris, and he's here to court a female, and they're just here because he's here. They know that they've got no option, no chance whatsoever to get involved in this whole situation, especially since he's in must, and all they're really here for are his entourage, young bulls that have joined up with him to learn about being bulls. And hello, little boy. Yeah, this is a teenager. He's not even 20 years old, this one. Behind the hat. This is why I do what I do. To just have 5 minutes of this. The length and weight of his tusks, they're about 6 inches and they weigh about 5 pounds. Marisha, Texas. Sorry, I'm not giving off that kind of info. I mean, they're big, but I don't know how to gauge it. Yeah, I mean, they're big tusks. They're probably heavy and all, but I don't want to encourage people to... Look at that, he's polishing the edge of his tusk. I was holding onto it with his trunk. Length, 5 feet. I don't know about weight. I don't know. They're big. He's big. He's just a magnificent bull. You see, I don't want to see an elephant and have to think about what the length and the weight of his tusks are, because that implies something to me. That there are... he's just a magnificent elephant bull, and the fact that a human being could even think of doing something to an animal, to a person like that, because he's a person in an ellie body. I'm just saying that he's got lovely tusks, and I don't want us to sort of measure them the way they would be measured on a commercial market, because that is killing tens of thousands of elephants in Africa every year. The fact that humans want to know how big and heavy and long the tusks are, and how much they're worth, and what they can do with them. And all of these religious carvings that are causing the decline of Africa in the name of religion. Hello, Sandy. How long do they have to be before they become known as tuskers? I don't think there's a measurement, Sandy. They become these majestic old bulls that exude wisdom. They just give off this aura of kind of like what Nelson Mandela did when he was up. It's just like this wise old man that just is the right thing for society. Of course. A bunch of palookas now. Never mind, I won't go that far. Based on our last State of Nation address, we're in a real state in this nation, because they're no longer majestic old men with years and years of wisdom running the country. They're just greedy old farts. time we need to leave them because we're getting into really thick bush here, and I don't want to really trouble them too much, especially since we can only follow them, and it's never really a wise idea to be following them all the time. Elephants don't really like stuff behind them. It would be nice if we could try and get in front of them. And these boys are just really, they're just following this family group, this group of cows. Maybe we can see them from the road. Looks like they're coming out onto the road actually. We can just squeeze through this little gap over here. Back onto Hyena Road. Yeah. Maybe catch up with some of these little ones. There he is. We've got a nice view of him actually coming into the open. He's breaking terminalia. I think he's just doing it partly because of being in must, and partly, oh please stop and look at me. Oh, didn't get a good photo. Anne in Pennsylvania. Hello, Anne. Oh, gosh, I've been asked this question a lot, to try and describe the smell of, the must smell of an elephant. It's sweet, it's sweaty, it's, Andrew help me, because to describe, it's hard, so hard to describe a smell.
It's like after you've just ridden a horse, and that horsey smell mixed with sweet smell.
Yeah, it's kind of like a sweet, musty, pungent, sweaty.
Not a bad smell.
Some people can't handle it. Some people get nauseous with it. Sometimes we've got an elephant in full must. It can be very overwhelming. He's not in full must. I think he's only just coming into must. Looking at his, well, he is dribbling quite strongly now, come to think of it, but it's still quite clear. It needs to become greenish and yellowish. And we look at his temporal gland, we can see that it looks like it's fairly new secretions coming out of his temporal gland. It hasn't been a constant drizzle that has saturated a whole patch of skin on his temporal, on sort of from his temporal gland down to his cheek and his lower jaw. So it leads me to think that maybe he's only just coming into must. It sounds like some of the lion are actually drinking at Gowrie Dam. So I'm thinking that maybe it's time for us to leave these pachyderms getting really thick in here, and people are saying, is this the same Ellie we saw eating the giant mushroom, that Ellie that was standing next to the marula tree, and then we managed to get the comparison? I want to go forward, but I'm just going to go right into his rump, and he's going to turn around and get cross with me, so I don't want to do that. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think so. I've got to look at photos. I can't remember that Ellie as much as I would like to. So I think since it's getting really thick and it's getting closer to sunset and all, let's get ourselves back to Gowrie Dam. It has to be the greatest surprise of my day, undoubtedly. I think a bigger surprise and a more wonderful surprise for me personally than if it had been the wild dog that we bumped into. Although I love watching wild dog, I love spending time with them, and I'm lucky enough that sometimes at home I can have them at home, and there have been times where I've been able to spend the whole day with them at home at the little dam that we have on our boundary. And they're not the same dogs. In fact, this last time I was at home, there were a pack of dogs or there was a pack of dogs that was there that were 32 strong. They're known as the Auckland pack, so they're mostly Kruger dogs that had come into the Timbavati. And while friends of mine who came visiting saw them, I didn't get to see them at all.